So, at a high level, my job is to architect and deliver the transformation to a smart technology company. And then my specific responsibilities, cybersecurity, all of IT, all of the innovation processes and capabilities, including venturing, working with startups, then all of the digital product development, so this is how we build new products and services with development teams, and then culture change, so driving of the internal cultural transformation, changing the ways of working. All of that translates into how do we drive value for customers through digital, because there are lots of levers that we can pull, and my job is to make sure that those 5 or 6 levers I've explained get pulled together in the right way to deliver outcomes that are tangible and real. I think it starts with a couple of principles. The principles is that it's about pace and collaboration. So there are opportunities, digitalization, or whatever it's big data, these are tools which allow you to get to an outcome. The outcome has to have value for the industry, and you can't do that alone. So the first thing is it delivers something typically at pace and at scale that you can't do without the technology, but it delivers an outcome. And I think one of the risks is that a lot of people talk the buzzwords, right, and don't actually work out how to use them to derive outcomes. There's a lot of activity in digital. It can be a very expensive mistake if you're not focused on how you pull things together. So for the industry, I think it's about, yes, there's change. It's change that is enabled, supported maybe through the technologies which are new or emerging, 3D printing, artificial intelligence, all these things. But at the end of the day, it has to drive an outcome that's relevant to the industry. Now for our industry, that's about efficiency, whether that's around fuel efficiency or time to value in terms of getting a container from port to port. It's about safety, whether that is crew safety or passenger safety, environmental impact, and it's also about sustainability of their business, but also sustainability of the environment. So those are 3 themes that are specific to the marine industry, where it means that the way you approach digitalization is perhaps subtly different from the way you might do it in automation or in travel or somewhere else. Yep. So it's a toolkit that you have to apply, but it starts with some key drivers. Any established company, whether it's Wärtsilä or somebody else, that's been optimized for the world that it currently lives in, right? So that's kind of very much product-focused, transactional sort of based, needs to be changed or needs to be challenged to change into something that tends to be much more value-based, right? And pace. So the challenge for me with my colleagues, we have some of the most talented engineers in the business, right? And we are by nature an innovative company. We change every generation. 2 generations ago, shipbuilders, a generation ago, engine manufacturers, and now a smart technology company. So we are perhaps one of the most agile, change-able companies that I've come across. So it's not about the willingness to change. And that's, I think, one of Wärtsilä's great strength. I think the challenge with an engineering product-driven company is they often want proof points. So it's, tell me what this outcome is going to be delivered, how safe is that outcome, and then I'll change. The challenge with the digital transformation is that a lot of it is hypothesis-driven. What if we, and let's test and learn, and let's see how quickly we can prove whether that works. So you've got very different mindsets. Now the way to affect the transformation is typically through creating safe environments in which people can test and learn those new methods and bring their existing problems and try safely to see what comes. Just experiment, see what comes. And if it fails, okay, it didn't work, right? Doesn't mean it's wrong, it just means it didn't work that time. So we created innovation spaces, environments where we can incubate, make it safe, give people all the new skills and mentoring, coaching and capabilities, and ask them to bring their business issues in, and then work on the business issues with us to drive a different solution or outcome. And what they typically bring is solutions that they've struggled to solve over time, and they find that a new way of working gets them an outcome much quicker. And that creates an almost emotional connection with the new world. They say, okay, I can see the value, the time to value. I can see, now I need help, I need to learn. I'm not convinced everything's going to be cut and paste, but all right, I've seen a bit of value. So typically the way we work is to look at quick wins, take an existing problem, sort of wrap digital cotton wool around the people, make it safe for them to try and fail, and failing is okay, or try and succeed, and then if it works, we then say, right, now how do we scale this, how do we etc. What will that mean, and whatever. Well, they're both driven by this, it's a buzzword, but we believe it, driven by this ecosystem thinking.
Okay.
So this is looking at the end-to-end value chain in both cases and saying, where do we play a primary role?
Yep.
So traditionally in marine, that would probably be in onboard a vessel, that's engines and automation systems and navigation. And where do we need to play an expanded or new or sort of secondary role? And that's much more lateral, that's much more about into the ports, into the cities in marine, right? Now in energy, we've said both visions are driven by a similar thing, which is if you have great technology, and a deep understanding of the market sector, you can apply that in different ways with new business models, with collaboration, with new ways of working to create new opportunities. So we're taking the data, the insights, and we're trying to then explore how we go laterally, how we go into those secondary areas to create new value propositions to help the organizations change. Smart energy is slightly more advanced than smart marine, because the sector is already massively disrupted and a lot of the disruption has happened and the appetite and the need for change is there. Marine is a little bit more incubated and perhaps a little bit slower against that, but doesn't necessarily mean that the journey isn't happening. We've done a lot of innovation around safety visualization using real-time data and virtual reality with one of the large cruise liners, taking real input, real data and giving them visualization so they can look at sort of man overboard and safety aspects. So that's co-creation, innovation with the customer, that's one example. Taking our existing product set and showing what happens if you connect them together and drive efficiency and optimization. We did a trial in the Mediterranean, we did a trial between Rotterdam and New York, where we saw double-digit fuel savings, so significant, real tap money, in-hand money on one trip, right? Just by effectively saying, right, if you think about these as a connected mini ecosystem on board, and you optimize that and bring in big data and analytics on top and optimize the voyage, using things like our Enneagram products and say, right, these things, then you get double-digit savings, right? And then there are examples like the where we're taking really forward-looking technologies and bringing them together to create new opportunities. So where we have taken hybrid propulsion, mix it with situational awareness, dynamic positioning to create an auto docking capability. So that's video analytics, everything all working together in real time to give you the feedback, mixing that then with things like induction charging, so as the vessel comes alongside about 10 meters out, that you're already recharging the vessel before it arrives, so that creates the turnaround quicker and the ferry goes out. That's a real life pilot that we've done, 14 times with consistent results. There's video of the captain sitting with his hands off going, while it comes alongside. So for us, I think one of the differences, and I'm not competitor bashing here, but one of the things that is typical of Wärtsilä is that we want to demonstrate tangible outcomes. We don't want to just talk the hype, right? So this isn't about a vision of automated vessels and autonomous shipping. It's about saying, where is the value to customer if you bring technology together, if you underpin it with something new, what happens and what value does it create? So each of those cases has got a bottom line number attached to it. Okay, so it's a 220 million total investment. I think we are investing up front, we're investing 80 million, Wärtsilä, and then there's other funding coming in to support. It's starting now. The doors will open in 2020. and it is effectively relocating from the city centre of Vaasa all of our manufacturing capabilities, so the factory, the labs, everything, into a new campus, still in Vaasa, where we have physical space for suppliers, for customers, for academia to come and co-locate. So we'll be doing R&D collaboratively, we'll be doing supply chain logistics, smart manufacturing, real-time integration of the supply chains, robotics, RPA, robotic process automation, creating new ways of working. So the physical space will look different, the offices, the ways of working in the offices will be different. All of that's happening starting now. So all the workshops are ongoing about what happens where and who's involved with what's happening now, and it opens in 2020. Really inspired by our purpose, enable sustainable society with smart technology. We looked and said we have a smart marine vision, which is really about optimizing that ecosystem in the marine world. And of course it starts with our knowledge of our products and our customers, what they want and where they're changing. But all these conferences, all the conversations are around changing regulations around environmental impact. We're all aware of the legacy we're leaving our children or not leaving our children. And so there's a real, driven by that purpose, there was a real momentum that said, wow, there's something that we need to have a view on. If you combine that with smart energy, which looks to a 100% renewables future, and we're well positioned to really drive and accelerate that, this is part of the same conversation. So what we did was effectively take, if you like, a kind of almost like a digital mindset, the service design approach, and say, what are the end needs? What are our end? Are we looking at the right customer with the right needs? Well, actually, the customer is the citizen. It's the city. It's the environment. It's not just Wärtsilä's existing customers. If we look at our customers' customers and where they live and how they work, we've got to take a view that looks A, globally, B, much more futuristically, and it's got to be absolutely embedded with the belief around our purpose, which is about sustainable societies. The smart technology is part of the how, right? How you scale that and how you do it quickly. So that was the starting point. We then had some envisioning workshops, and we then kind of started to come up with a hypothesis. That hypothesis was tested with a couple of key sort of stakeholders, and the work that Andrew Carcetti has then shepherded and grown has then culminated in this oceanic awakening, and C20 is a key component of that, because we truly believe that the marine ecosystem does not just exist on the water. It has to exist as part of the port, and the ports are part of cities, and if we're not looking at laterally, those secondary areas I talked about earlier, we've got to understand that value chain. Now we may decide to only play in one part of it in the future, or I don't know, we don't know yet. And the second thing we realised was that, particularly for C20, was this is not Wärtsilä's voice. This is not a project, this is not a program, this is not an investment opportunity. This is really a movement that says we and many other people, probably with stronger voices, need to come together. And nobody at the moment is asking for that conversation or facilitating it. So rather than say, what a shame, if we really believe in our purpose, which we do, then let's do something about it. Let's be bold. It's a risk, right? Hey, Wärtsilä, the engine company, talking about, C20 and oceanic awakening, that's different, but it's something we're passionate about and really believe in. So it's a very different Wärtsilä from 2 years ago. That transformation is evident in what's been happening. And yeah, there's some, it's exciting. Yeah, there's a bit of risk, but you don't make an omelette without breaking some eggs, right? So we're prepared to take that risk, but it's something that we believe others believe as passionately. So it's a conversation that has to happen.